Okay, everybody, welcome to the show. Welcome to Thursday night, folks. It is 7 o'clock on the nose, and what a nose it is. Anywho, I can't wait for tonight. You know why? Because we're going to be sitting down with an old friend, and I can't believe how long we've known each other now. Doing a little reminiscing before the show. We'll get into that. Robin McCutcheon, Dr. Robin McCutcheon, is on with us tonight, and I can't wait to jump into all the current events, how she's seeing it. Of course, she's an economics professor, Marshall University, so I want to hear her talk about trade and tariffs and all of the sky is falling nonsense that we heard a couple of months ago, where we are right now, and why is it that so soon the only thing left to do is to organize riots in the most conspicuous of stupid of ways? Which you know what? If you don't live in the middle of a riot zone, I'm actually kind of excited for this weekend, because I'm just going to do whatever, and I'm not going to concern myself with the movements of absolutely wayward people. Doesn't matter. They're not going to get anything out of it. Certainly not going to gain any new understanding of the world. That's for sure. Being out there and sweating all over each other. Tens of thousands of people who haven't taken showers in days. So that's just the way it is. But Robin McCutcheon's here with us tonight. And no matter what the prescription is, she's always so hopeful about the future. And in pragmatic ways, too. So I'm looking forward to it. Really am. She'll be here in just a little while. I also want to just make sure that I say real quick, because this is Thursday night, you know what that means. It means that we are joined by a wonderful additional audience over at Badlands Media. We're doing all right over there, and I'm so happy that everybody is enjoying themselves on that end. So hell, I just wanted to say thank you to Badlands. And I would also like to say thank you to our first Badlands sponsor of the night. To put them up front, that is Manly Cans. Can for men. Father's Day this weekend. What are you going to do? You got to get this. Ultimate destination for spoiling the guys that you know with cool stuff that they actually want. Deli meats galore. Look at all that. Just sausage upon sausage. And also shaving equipment. Don't you want that? Each Manly Can is an experience. It even comes with a greeting card that doubles as a coaster, so that your chilly cosmopolitan doesn't leave a watermark on the rich mahogany. So customize your Manly Can to fit his personality and yours. Choose from a wide variety of cans. And that's it. And during checkout, add whatever additional items you want. There's koozies, there's shaving gear, coffee products. So spoil all the dads in your life. Badlandsmedia.tv/Manly Cans. Use promo code BadlandsMedia, and you get free shipping on purchases over $50. Badlandsmedia.tv/Manly Cans. You still have time. So thank you. Also, here's a little bit more of what we're doing tonight. You know, I told you about the full page ad in the New York Times. Well, and I said at the bottom it says paid for by Christy Walton. Well, she's the Walmart heiress. So whenever you go to Walmart for a nice deal, just remember Christy Walton is a absolute lunatic, and she's a money launderer to at least in my estimation, helping move that money along to stage these ridiculous things. Full page in the New York Times. Walmart could become the target of a MAGA-led boycott after the heiress to the retail fortune funded a full-page ad in the New York Times. And like I said, they don't say anything about the cost of the ad here. There she is. Exactly what you think. They don't say what the ad's cost is, but it's a Sunday. It's the Sunday Times. That's when the readership is peak. People are home. They're reading the Times on a Sunday. It's a very bougie thing to do. And that's why getting a full-page ad on Sunday is what people who are trying to be most effective with their advertising dollars are going to get into. It's also going to ensure that it's the most, at least $250,000. But that's a drop in the bucket for these people who have obviously been planning for a long time, because this is something that's being thrown into the mix tonight. Here is a text message. This was actually sent to Jay Gulanello the day after the election. And he said, when he saw the whole no kings thing, no kings allowed all of a sudden. When he saw the no kings thing, he said, why does that sound familiar? And he went back through all of his text messages. And you know how around election time, you just get random text messages from all types of things. I've gotten the Democrat Party texting me looking for Lauren. The Democrat Party from Pennsylvania encouraging me, Lauren, to go vote for Democrats in Pennsylvania. All types of weird shit happens. Anyway, Jay Gulanello got this sent to his phone on November 6th, the day after the election. I'm begging. Sign the petition to pass Chuck Schumer's No Kings Act and strip Trump of his immunity. Now, I don't know if this is just some leftover, money in the direct marketing tank that they had for all of the legal battles, the lawfare that they were running all throughout 2024 and before that, or whatever. But whenever you see the lingo being shared and used over and over again, it's just part of the planning apparatus. Just like, Build Back Better was something that we realized, this has been assigned to every world leader who is in lockstep with the World Economic Forum. You just understood that. You remember when Joe Biden ran in 2020? He took Build Back Better. That was assigned to him. If you go and look, you have to be able to find it. I think Joe Biden's first slogan was "Stop the Malarkey" or something like that. I swear to God, I remember a Joe Biden tour bus in 2020 rolling out that said something about malarkey. And then all of a sudden he and every stooge around the world was using Build Back Better in unison. So that was November 6th. So the fact that we're seeing it now, and I would have to imagine from then they were building this website, they're building the toolkits, they're organizing. But the real thing is, what started all this stuff? They keep telling us it's immigration. That's nonsense. I have a little bit on that here too. I think Robin is keen and in the know of what this is as well. But we'll do all that tonight and more. I have some really great things to announce on the other side of this. I have 3 gifts I'm giving away to you guys tonight. We're going to be doing a super chat raffle across Rumble and YouTube, quite frankly, superchat.com. I got 3 big things for you because it's Father's Day and I just wanted to have fun with you, and I put them all together and we're going to ship them out. And 3 things, because I get upset when there's only one winner. Now I want there to be 3 winners so there's better chances. And I'm going to show that to you in a second. And then we're bringing Robin on. So don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. The fun has only just begun.
I am black. I am gay. I am disabled.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back.
Does anybody else want to stay?
Let's roll!
Those main espresso cups I got. That's the first prize. It takes just a super chat to get into it. It could be a $1 super chat. It doesn't matter. And because we got 3 prizes, you got great chances tonight. Here's the second prize. It's my copy of The Big Fisherman from the book club that we had in March. I'll be inscribing it. I already pressed it with the Quite Frankly library stamp. And you're going to get a CD of my band from 2017, plus Keto Brain samples. Everybody's going to get Keto Brains, of course. All right. And the third one we're giving away, I call this the Forever Young gift set because it's kind of like play. Okay. So you got the Yes Cacao Wild Balls. You got that fidget spinner down there, which is actually kind of cool. I have a couple more of those. I want to give those away. And that is that's like a new generation parachute man. And then in the back, a PlayStation gift card for $25. So you do a little gaming, or you give it to somebody who has PlayStation, and they go month to month. And there you have it. These 3 things. These 3 things we're doing tonight. And I'll put your name into the name picker, and at the end we'll go first prize, second prize, third prize, and that'll be awesome. and then me and Lauren will package them all up, and hopefully I'll be able to ship them out tomorrow because I've got a day off. But tomorrow night, 7 o'clock on YouTube, remember, we will be premiering last week's Saturday night show, which many of you have not seen, and you're going to love. Okay, I have a lot of things actually scheduled to premiere over the weekend. Short clips, medium-sized clips, and then, of course, this full episode. So I've thought about you. It's going to feel like I'm not even off. All right? So that's all I got for you. Get in the running. All right, here we go. I want to bring up our friend, Robin McCutcheon. Now, who is Robin? Do you know who she is? Well, you should at this time. Robin earned her PhD in economics from Wayne State University in Detroit, Michigan. She's been teaching economics for over 20 years. In all the economics courses she teaches, principles of economics, both micro and macro, money and banking, comparative economic systems, labor economics, and managerial economics, she uses the principles of free market systems. The first time we spoke to her about Ayn Rand, because she uses Ayn Rand, Ludwig von Mises, F.A. Hayek. I've actually got books from both of them I got to read finally. I know a lot about Milton Friedman, and then Cleon Skousen. Hey, wait, Robin, is that Cleon Skousen strategic relocation? Cleon Skousen?
I'm not sure about the strategic relocation, but he did pen the Naked Communist way, way back.
Yes.
The early 60s. But the book that I use most of the time in my course is The 5,000-Year Leap. Okay, hold on. Strategic relocation. It is a Skousen, though. Let me see here. It is a Skousen. There are several Skousens. I think they're all in the same family.
Joel Skousen, and I think he's the nephew of Cleon.
Could be.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, well, you know what? You and I were just talking before the show a little bit. We have now been doing episodes together for 5 years. Wow.
Knocks your socks off how fast that went.
It goes incredibly fast, I got to say. I mean, I've had fun the entire way. We've done... it always, brings such cheer to my heart to do holiday episodes with you and stuff. But no matter when the hell we talk, it's always a good one. But damn, we've had some great talks over these 5 years. That's really awesome.
Well, remember 5 years ago on June the 14th when we met up, there was large riots happening all over the United States. Do you remember that?
I do.
And the golden casket of St. George Floyd was making its way across the United States. Remember that?
I do.
The only thing that we're missing this year is a martyr.
Right. And then now that's what I say. A couple of nights ago, it's a little bit more on the morbid end of things, but when people say, well, listen, there can't be any half measures with Donald Trump and these and the people in the streets and the craziness and the violence and the lawlessness, there can't be half measures anymore. But there is that big black cloud hanging over everything, which is that the people who organize what we're living through right now, they want nothing less than for somebody to die that they have put into a situation that in many cases does require lethal force. But there is so much restraint because I think everybody who's managing this situation from the outside understands that people are actually designed to be killed in these situations because those deaths are going to be used. So, it's going to be interesting.
It's a feature of these particular coordinated and synchronized riots that lots of somebodies are hurt, maimed, killed. It's not a bug. It's a feature. Mm-hmm. They're supposed to be hurt, maimed, and killed. And that is supposed to garner sympathy for the rioters. But I just don't think they're going to get it this time.
No, I don't think so either. And let's start from the top because all roads lead to civil unrest in this conversation. So we'll get we'll get there eventually. But take a listen. Right. Take a listen to this. This is a tweet. I want to take just the top couple of statements here. A tweet from one Wesley Hunt from Texas. Okay, let me get you on the screen. Wesley says, if you've noticed, Democrats aren't talking about egg prices anymore. They're not talking about inflation, tariffs, stock market, the border. They're now planning demonstrations to fight authoritarianism. Why? Because Trump solved every single one of these issues in 5 months, and they've run out of ammunition. Now, I would love for you let's just take those top things right there. Eggs, inflation, tariffs, and stock market. Let's just keep very financial right now and market based. All solved, he says. What's your report card on this? What do you think about that assessment?
Well, let's start with eggs. So I think when we were on, it might have been late in the fall or early in the year, 2025. We talked about the high price of eggs, but we have to remember that the Biden administration was giving the go-ahead nod to kill hundreds of millions of chickens. And out of our billion-plus chicken flock, the Biden administration had okayed the killing or culling of about 100 million egg-laying hens. And while that should not have affected egg prices as much as it did, you take 10% away, and you're going to have a shortage in supply, which is going to push up prices. And I think the last time we talked about lowering egg prices, I said that chicken growers know that it takes 6 or 7 or maybe 8 months to go from the little pullet, which is the hatchling, the chicken hatchling, to the time when they're laying eggs. Well, this is June, right?
Yeah.
And the chickens haven't been culled since perhaps November or December. So here we are. We're 6 or 7 months into growing more hens, and voila, the supply of eggs increases and the egg prices drop.
What do you think about, and I was reading things maybe about 2 months ago about egg prices already dropping on average. Now, of course, at the time when these reports came out, people, based on whatever their prices were, the average price in their region or their locality was, they would say, hey, no, I haven't felt this yet. I mean, I still know that every time we go shopping for a week's worth of groceries over here, we're paying more than $300, and it hurts. Oh, yeah. It really sucks. And, yes. We've always bought direct from the farmer, so our prices have always been more because we want to make sure they're not using soy or grain or anything else like that to feed the chickens. But there has been reports that there was a large dip in all of this a couple of months ago, and I wonder what the hell that could have been, if that was anything on RFK's spot, because I know that they abandoned the idea of vaccinating chickens, and they did a little bit more mitigation on this that avoided more culling, I think.
And it wasn't just that. We were importing hundreds of millions of eggs. I don't remember exactly when I was reading the post on social media, but people in grocery stores in the back in the warehouses were saying that they had pallets and pallets and pallets of eggs from other countries. So that might have, in some areas, might have caused a dip in the egg prices. But also remember, the cure for high prices is high prices themselves. When the price of eggs for an 18 count went up to $8.39 in my area, I stopped buying them. I just, And so if there are a large number of people not purchasing that item, then there will be, as a ripple effect, an oversupply of that item, which will necessarily require the grocer to lower the price. I mean, for example, every month or so, if I'm spot on in the grocery store, I'll be able to find 5 dozen eggs, a big platter of them, 5 dozen eggs for about 1/4 of the retail price, because people won't buy them at $20 for 5 dozen.
Yeah. And
they sit there and they get to a best buy date, and the grocer has to lower the price. So, some of the dip in egg prices, I think, might be that people are still not purchasing them in mass quantities. It's probably that our egg-laying hen count has gone up, and our retail gas prices have gone down. So all of these things mix in together.
You and I were talking about this, that it might have been late 2024. It might have been, okay. And I think that you might have been on with me once since the inauguration. I don't know. But definitely we were talking about this in 2024, around the time that Kamala Harris's campaign was. We were talking about the price controls, and we were talking about the price controls they wanted to put on, and the way that they actually wanted to put the screws to grocers to be able to gaslight the public in some way that they were the reason why that prices for things that they were selling were going up, that they were just greedy, that they wanted, a 2% profit on things to keep the lights on. So I've definitely seen these things kind of shake out a little bit more. I've seen people be a little bit more, taking a little bit more risks right now in starting businesses. I'll be the first to say, I'll be the first to report proudly whenever I see a real impact on the grocery list. But right now, still things are pretty high, and that's what I wanted to ask. At least where I am, I'm in Westchester, the Greenwich, Connecticut area. So whatever.
Right, you're already in a high price area.
Exactly. So let's get to that then. Inflation. So we went from eggs to inflation, because you say, well, hey, it could also just be the buying power of your dollar. How does it look right now? Because this could go hand in hand with the so-called jobs report. We got that on June 6th. Whenever you come on to do a jobs report, it's usually a chuckle fest, and you're just laughing the whole time at every metric that comes out there. But now it's the Trump administration. It indicated that we had an increase of employment of 139,000 jobs in May. Unemployment remained unchanged at what is reported at 4.2%. But you said it's been past upwards of 20%. Either way, take inflation and the jobs reports and give us a little bit of your take on what the reality is.
Can I still laugh at the jobs report?
I love when you laugh. Go ahead.
Well, interestingly enough, it must have been the May jobs report that reflected April. It came out that the Biden Bureau of Labor Statistics had overestimated the number of jobs by something like almost 900,000. I'm shocked.
I remember that.
They lied. I'm not sure that the jobs report is any more better now. I'm not sure I trust these numbers, and I'm downloaded the numbers from the May jobs report, the one that we just got last week, and we still have 62.4% participation rate, which, if you take everything into account, we've got a little over 7 million people who are unemployed, but we have almost 103 million people who are not even in the labor force. So, that's 110 million people out of 273,385,000. So, from where I'm sitting, we're still looking at 37.6% unemployment. 37.6% unemployment, because we have 103 million people not working. They're not even part of the labor force. They're just not. And that doesn't even take into account the 30 or 40 or 50 million, and I mean those seriously, 30 or 40 or 50 million illegal aliens that we've got sucking up money from the government tit. So, I'm not sure I trust these numbers any more than I did 3, 4, 6 months ago.
See, whoa.
There we go. That was it. Nicely played.
That was great. Whatever inside of me hit the wrong button, they had good comedic timing there. Hold on, there's so much.
That was a Freudian slip if I've ever seen one.
Oh gosh, scared the hell out of myself. What when Mitt Romney shows up to laugh? I don't know. Anyway, when you look at that, what the hell, if you're in the Trump administration, let's say you get called into a cabinet meeting, And you say, all right, well, here's the real thing we have. For a long time, one administration or another, they are giving everybody a very, very myopic point of view of what unemployment is, for very, bipartisan political reasons, because nobody's really done a good job. But if you were to start a really a serious conversation within the Trump administration or any administration to get people to work again, those who are eligible work to work again, to actually address this issue instead of finding new statistical ways of covering it up, what would you do?
So, how do I get people who are not in the labor force to get off their ass and put in for a job? Is that what you're asking me?
Yeah.
After they've been sitting on their ass for 15 years? That's a great question. I have no idea. Not a clue. I suspect that some of these people who are not in the labor force are receiving extraordinary benefits that encourage them to not be in the labor force. And so, at the risk of sounding like a cutthroat demonic lizard person, I guess we could cut benefits. I can just hear everybody wailing and reeing in the night.
Well, I mean, maybe perhaps there's just at least something that is done where a person is going to have to, they're going to have to present a reason why they aren't working. Like, is there a serious injury or?
Now, there's another thing to take into account on this too, is that there might be a large number of these 103 million people who are not in the labor force who are seriously maimed or disabled since the COVID jabs came out. So, I mean, I think there might be some underlying causes why there are so many people who are not in the labor force. But for those people who are in good health and they're sitting on the beach sipping their Mai Tais, I actually don't know how to encourage people to get off the beach, put the Mai Tai down, and go back to work.
It's a big question, and I understand. I know you're dealing with human nature at that point.
And it's not really a matter of increasing minimum wage, because the people who can work but are not have their own reasons for putting their nose in the air, even at the minimum wage that we've got. And I've who was it who just came out and said, well, we've got to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. And I'm not talking about the federal minimum wage. I'm talking about just the minimum wage. And I looked at that and I went, so you want more unemployed people? You want more businesses to shut down? That's really stupid. That's a horrible way of getting people to get back in the labor force. So the answer to your question is, I'm not sure. I don't know. I think that we need to dive into these numbers of people who are not in the labor force at all, the 103 million. I think we need to dive down into it and find out, why are they not in the labor force? If they're disabled and they're maimed, then there's obviously that they're not going to be able to work, or work very little.
Well, that would actually be a
cash under the table.
That would be a pretty provocative statistic in itself. If you're talking about how many tens of millions of people out? 100 million?
103 million nearly.
103 million you're talking working age people. Okay.
Over the age of 16 and not dead.
Over the age of 16 and not dead. Of those 103 million people, I would like to know how many of them physically cannot work for one reason or why. Why would, and what's that percentage, and why are they incapacitated? That would be pretty interesting. Other than that,
there's something to keep in mind here. For years and years before 2013, we had a pretty steady 30 million people who were not in the labor force. It was rock solid for a long time. And then with the start of Obamacare, I don't know if you remember that, a lot of people in the labor force were pushed out because small employers, those employers who had only 49 or less employees, if they got to the 50 employee mark, they had to give their employees full health care benefits. And the 40-hour work week was reduced to 32 hours. So anybody working more than 32 hours, that employer had to pay their health care benefits. And so employers did the logical thing, and they cut back on their number of employees that they had hired, and they reduced the number of work hours to less than 32. And don't you remember Nancy Pelosi came out quite famously and said, well, that's okay. You can work 2 jobs.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah.
So that event, when that hit January of 2013, that 30 million not in the labor force number jumped up to about 66 million. And it stayed there pretty solidly until sometime around, and I'm just pulling a month out of my hat here, sometime around late 2019, early 2020. And then we had COVID and all hell broke loose.
I just want to take a moment to consider that number again, because I remember very loosely in my earlier years doing this show around 2010, 2011, learning about things like the U3, the U6, and how both parties will hide the 900-pound gorilla in the room by not even showing you people who are just not participating. And when you look at that and you say, whoa, there's 30 million people on the sideline. And I remember that number. But now that you called me back to that reality back in 2009, 10, 11, that was bad enough. To add 73 million people on top of that is absolutely staggering.
It went up 300%.
That are just not doing anything.
Right. And that means that the 170,510,000 who are working, oh wait, I'm sorry, that's the entire labor force. The 163,273,000 who are working are supporting everyone else.
Damn, man.
And remember, these numbers do not include children, anyone under the age of 16, of which there are probably 70 to 75 million. So 110 million are either unemployed or not in the labor force. Add in another, call it 75 million for the kids. So now we've got 185 million. And because I doubt that these numbers are counting the 30, 40, or 50 million illegal aliens, now you have a number where it's 180, let's call it 40 million. So now you got 220 million people being supported by the 163 million people. How does that work mathematically?
Okay.
Not sustainable.
So you know this. Every time we get together, you give us things that are just you don't sugarcoat it. You're never sugarcoating the tack for us. But at the same time, let's talk about something else. The big beautiful bill. Everyone has an opinion on the bill. I don't know how it could be like received resoundingly well by anyone just based on its size alone. But how are you seeing this as such a staunch Trump supporter, but also someone who is a pragmatic economist? Is there anything you're critical of? Is there any economic solution that Trump may be getting bad, or any economic situation that Trump you believe might be getting bad advice on, or are you actually liking it?
There are areas of the bill that bother me. One of the sections about AI bothered me a lot, especially the part about the moratorium on states to be able to do any kind of prohibition on anything AI. And I don't have the language of the bill, knocked into my head just yet, but that particular portion bothered me. I think that it was interesting that this bill only pertains basically to standard budgeting. So the no tax on tips, the no tax on Social Security, and the no tax on overtime are not in there. That's got to be separate. All of the Doge cuts have to come through in a rescission bill. So the Doge cuts are not in the big, beautiful bill. I'm beginning to think that the big, beautiful bill is a big bill.
Just a big bill.
1,100 pages. I thought we weren't going to do that shit anymore. Why do we need 1,100 pages to fund the government if Trump is shutting down agency after agency and he's cutting the funding to NGOs like USAID? Why do we need this?
I don't know. And you know what?
And here's the other thing. I think Trump keeps trumpeting this big, beautiful bill so people will go read it to see what's in there instead of just trusting their Congress critter legislators to read it, which none of them do. None of them read it. The synopsis that I read, the big beautiful bill had been put through Grok AI to find out what are the salient points in the bill. But that was about 2 pages worth. Well, that left out 1,098 pages. What else is in there? I think what Trump is trying to get us to do is to read what is put in front of our Congress critters' faces, and then to make our voices heard about the parts that we think are ridiculous or stupid or overspending. I mean, how can you get your arms around a federal government that's so large that it sucks $7 trillion out of our economy every year? Right?
I know.
And in order to be a citizen of a constitutional republic, you've got to be actively involved, which means you've got to read these bills. Yeah. All 1,100 pages of it.
I would be more inclined to think that this was a little bit of a, hey, I need all of your help, citizens, to read through this bill. If he wasn't if he didn't laud it as much as he does, he's proud of it. So yes, if it's just like, hey, I would love to hear messaging coming from him, because I know that there's very little that he can do with how insidious and treasonous this Congress is, both Republicans and Democrats alike. And I understand that for what really needs to be done to save this republic or restore this republic in any way, shape, or form is going to require Congress for it to have any kind of lasting impact on the future. And because that's the whole thing here, that what we have is this situation where Donald Trump is really relying on the imperial powers of the White House that actually need to be dissolved. But if he doesn't have Congress, and he doesn't, even though he has a mandate, he has Congress that is, there to find a way to mealy-mouth their way, just to be in a very mealy-mouthed way, obstruct everything that people was hoping was going to be a very radical second term of Donald Trump. All he has left is executive orders, which we know is not going to do anything. But I would love for at least some messaging to be like, hey, I'm doing a fireside chat here. I don't like this bill. It is way too big. We need to slash and burn our federal agencies and the bureaus, and we need to size this thing down. I want to get the government and all, I don't want anybody to lose their Social Security or health care right now. We have to talk about sunsetting things for the future, but that's not now. You don't have to bring that up. You have to just say, if we're ever going to be able to cut people's, stop people from getting bled to death by taxation and actually be able to move ourselves on to a government that is supported by tariffs again, how could you be happy with this bill that you're giving people? So I if he was at least expressing some disappointment and throwing some shade at Congress, I would be happy with that, because I knew going into this he was not going to have a very a lot of help coming his way from Congress. So
he's not having any help from Congress. I mean, although there, in some respects, I think a lot of what we're watching with all of these various machinations from Congress, I think a lot of it is just a circus. I think it's meant to distract us. And I know that sounds really silly, but I just watching what's been going on, I don't get the idea that anyone in Congress is particularly serious. They're not there. They're not there, obviously, to help the American people. They looked a little crushed when their money laundering got dried up in January and February and March. And although I did hear that the rescission package passed barely, but it did get through the House, so we'll see what the Senate does with that. But I have the very strong opinion that what is being shown to us through all of these different antics, these clowns in the circus, what I think is being shown to us is that our Congress, the majority of them, 98% of them, are in it for themselves and they're not in it for us. And I think that it has to be shoved up in our face so that we finally wake up and say, what the fuck are you doing over there? Why did I vote for you if all you're going to do is steal my money and leave me as a tax slave? It's a wake-up moment. It's a wake-up moment, Frank. A big, beautiful bill notwithstanding, if the people that we elect to go to Congress are already beholden to somebody else, and wasn't it Thomas Massey who came out in his, when was that, August interview with Tucker, and he said there are very few people in Congress that are not owned by AIPAC?
Yeah, I think he said he's the only one that doesn't have an AIPAC guy.
Right. Well, who else owns Congress critters? Who else pads their pocket? Who else has their ear and their wallet? Who else has blackmail or have been extorting our Congress members? How many different positions have our Congress members put themselves in that is, I'm missing a word here, but indelicate.
They're in a situation. The average member of Congress is in a situation where when they are so-called legislating, when they are legislating, what they're trying to do is just to try to find the best possible way to appease everybody's individual sponsors. That does not.
Their own sponsors.
They're sponsored. No. Yeah, that's it.
They're sponsors. They don't give a flying fuck about us.
Right.
The American citizens have voted for them, and I have a feeling that this big, beautiful bill is one of those exposure boomerangs. Again, President Trump is trusting that people are going to read this bill, and whether they like it or not, or parts of it or not, and make their voice known to these. I have to edit a little bit, to their Congress people, what they want to keep and what should be gotten rid of. But if we are really going to return to a constitutional republic, we cannot have a federal government that is 1/6 the size of the entire economy. That's just stupid.
Yeah. I know.
I mean, so there are parts of the bill that I thought were okay. There are other parts of the bill that I scratched my head and went, what the fuck is he doing with this? What is he trying to get us to see?
Robin, I know.
Instead of just coming right out and saying, look, here's the deal. This is the wool being pulled over your eyes. This is how it happens. You got an 1,100-page bill, and at the end of it, you are all still tax slaves.
I see that this is my whole thing. I would. Occam's razor tells me that it's he's not sending any secretive messages here. I don't think that this is there's no message or anything like that. I think it's just this is it, and he's not being very conservative about it.
It's pretty plain to see when you're looking at the whole picture, big beautiful bill included. It's pretty plain, at least I see it, that we have strayed so far from our constitutional Republican roots from 250 years ago that there needs to be a serious shellacking, a serious tar and feathering of the people who we send to Washington, or maybe even to our state houses and our local communities. Because these people are obviously, they're not on our side, they're on their side. And they're just using us as slaves.
Did you like the use of the tariffs a couple of months ago and how they are starting to bring people to the table now? I haven't read anything about this China deal, but I saw the announcements over the last 48 hours. What are your thoughts? Is there anything publicly known?
I haven't seen anything public about the China deal. I just noticed it last night as well. But you have to remember that, and maybe you don't, but when you study tariff theory inside of economics, the original tariff theories that came out 200 and 300 years ago developed from the idea that all countries that were trading together were small economies, that there was no one country that had a bigger economy than any other country. And so for a country to go and put enormous tariffs on all of their neighboring countries wouldn't work, because they did not have the power of the economy that would make it work. Now, Trump knew this. And so that's why he knew his tariff policies would work, because the economy of the United States is the widest, deepest, most resilient economy in the entire world. Our economy dwarfs everybody else. And so when he ran around, I don't remember what day it was, where he brought out the great big placard with all of the countries and all of their various tariffs. And, some countries had 64%, but, he'd lower it to 32 if they were really good people, really good boys and girls. And I thought, this is going to work, because those countries need our markets to sell their stuff into. We don't necessarily need those markets. We can produce a lot of things here at home. And the idea of, look, you don't have to pay a tariff if you build it here.
Yeah.
Incentive. And so I knew this would work. I thought it was a brilliant idea. I don't know why. I don't know why any president hasn't done this before, except, yes, I do know, because most of the other presidents we've ever had, with the exception of probably in recent history, Reagan and Kennedy, and I guess you'd have to go back into the 19th century to find another one. But most of those other presidents weren't on our side either. Somebody owned them as well. And so I knew that President Trump's tariff policy would work. I knew these countries would come crawling on their knees across broken glass to make a deal. And even China, because China does not have a consumer economy. China makes all of their stuff and they send it here. They don't keep the stuff that they make. So I knew China would come to the table eventually. And on a podcast I did about a month ago, when I was asked, well, how long do you think China will take? I said, I don't know. They've got, 1.5 billion people. It depends on how hungry those people get when all of their factories shut down.
It's a great point. And especially when there's what was it, nearly a 200% tariff put on at one point?
Lo and behold, as the number of people in China that were being cast out of their jobs rose into the millions and millions of them, I thought, this will get somebody's attention, because you can't have a population of 500 million workers not have jobs, not have any way to feed their families, and expect those people to remain civil towards their government.
So let's talk about civil then. Okay.
I fell right into that one.
No, good, because it's great, because what we're doing over here, obviously, it's a two-sided coin, and it really reveals a lot about our predicament. Because over in China, You have one situation where people are losing jobs and all that stuff. They're put in a position where their situation is going to get worse, and that is usually when governments the administrative state is going to start feeling a little bit more pressure put on them from the people that they usually feel in good control of, especially when they're docile and they have some food in their bellies. But on on our side of things, with whatever Donald Trump could do on his own, when especially talking about trade or anything like that, it has only put us in a position to get better and better, to actually make things better for the American worker, for the American producer over here. So the conditions have flipped so that it's become a little bit more pro-American as opposed to, as to anything else. And in that respect, still, it's incredible that we start seeing civil unrest, because then the question is, well, who the hell is really who's uneasy? Who has any? Yeah, who is the one that is really upset about the prospects of there being some sort of higher standard and a greater sense of prosperity and feeling the prosperity? What can that be? Now, before we get to the macro, which is what started in LA and is now going to introduce itself to other parts of the country over the weekend, let's get to the micro, which was, it started off with Donald Trump and Elon Musk, two people. And, I can understand that Elon Musk I can see where if the reports are true, he would feel a bit miffed about the big, beautiful bill and all of the work that he was supposedly going to be doing with Doge to cut the federal monstrosity to ribbons, which is the only thing that we needed to survive. The federal government needs to go away. And I guess Musk thought he was going to come in to do that, to put the federal government through a paper shredder, to clean things up and to get back to originalist order. So I can see that. But then again, like I said before, we get disappointed all the time by spending bills. But but his reaction is to start saying that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files in ways that we didn't already know for the last 20 years. And it seemed very petulant and perhaps inebriated. And I don't know. What do you think? Well,
first of all, remember that Elon Musk was never hired as a federal employee, right? He had some special designation, and it allowed him only to be part of the federal government for 130 days. So if we go from January 21st forward 130 days, what is that? That's like 4 months.
It's like May 30th, I think the last day was.
Yeah, like May 30th. May 30th. When did the Elon Musk versus Trump spat start? On June the 6th, 5th, 4th? Oh, that's right. It was right at the end of May. Right?
Yeah, they had that farewell moment in the Oval Office where he kind of looked aloof and he had that black eye, and it was very strange.
And he gets the golden key to the White House, and the very next day he starts throwing word bombs through Twitter at President Trump. Now, when this started, I looked at that. I kind of sat back and I looked at that and I went, how odd. I thought these two were bros, and now they're fighting like cats and dogs. And Trump wasn't holding back either, but I got the oddest sensation of the whole damn thing being kayfabe. To me, it was just a fake fight. And I'm looking at this going, everybody's focused on these two guys. Wait a minute, what else is going on? What is the right hand doing when the left hand's busy? So Elon Musk and Trump have this big throwdown fight. It looked a lot like WWE, Hulk Hogan versus the Undertaker. And then about less than a week later, we get this big blow up in LA, right? Yeah. June 6th is less than a week, roughly.
Yeah. Oh, May 30th. If it was all separated by more than 72 hours, I'd be surprised. I felt like it was very close.
It was so close in timing that I knew that this blow up between Elon Musk and President Trump wasn't going to last very long. But remind me, what day of the week was May 30th? Was that a Saturday?
I think it might have been a Saturday. No, wait. May 30th was a Friday.
Oh, so they caught the weekend news cycle. Brilliant. Awesome. So what else is going on? Well, in the meantime, there's Tom Homan over in Los Angeles doing not an ICE raid. They were doing a criminal investigation into money laundering and cartel activity, where as far as I can tell, there was a company that's laundering money between Mexican cartels and the United States.
You want to hear? This is incredible. You want me to read a little bit about this?
Please.
Okay, because this is just something I started coming up with too. Now, Wall Street Apes put this out. I've been able to see this in a few other places. The real reason they say behind the Los Angeles riots, I looked into this, and it's true. The fashion tax evasion investigation. It was like a fashion industry thing. Was happening. There was a raid happening there. That's why ICE was in LA. Over $97 million in money laundering from Mexico to California. Democrats fueled the riots the same day. The ICE operations in the fashion district, specifically targeting Ambiance Apparel, were part of a criminal investigation into money laundering, tax evasion, and customs fraud. According to reports, the investigation involved a company that underdeclared over $80 million in goods and failed to pay $17 million in fees, with some of the money allegedly being laundered to fund cartel activity in Mexico. The ICE raids began around June 6th and sparked significant protests and riots in downtown Los Angeles, particularly in the fashion district and outside the federal buildings. The unrest was fueled by perception that raids were immigration sweeps, though officials clarified they were targeting criminals' activities like tax evasion and money laundering. And I checked it out. I checked it again, and yeah, there was 29 people were arrested. Approximately $65 million in cash was seized. Robin, they had a pile of $65 million in cash in this warehouse.
Right. And look who the two people who were the most upset about these ICE raids. Governor Newsom and Karen Bass. How much of that, how many millions? 65 million they caught in cash?
In cash.
How much of that money was being funneled through various city, county, and state people?
I don't know.
Obviously, anyone who is on the receiving end getting their pocket lined with money, they don't want their money to dry up. And so, from my point of view, just as soon as Tom Homan and his boys got that piece of money all dried up, well, there goes Karen Bass and Newsom, and let's see. Who else is in on this? Because we know this is not spontaneous. This is all coordinated and funded and spearheaded. Oh, look, Data Republican said she found Neville Singham, a shadowy billionaire and alleged Chinese Communist Party asset, has been accused of bankrolling the radical left's most disruptive street agitators. It's not spontaneous. It's coordinated and paid for. So, if you go and you look at Mike Benz's Twitter post, he talks about and describes the CIA's playbook for instigating a color revolution. The CIA says first you have to have a martyr. We don't have that this time. Last time it was George Floyd. First you have to have a martyr that everybody can rally around and get all agitated and upset about them being dead or killed. And then you got to have some instigators. You got to have some paid people who will go in and ruffle up the crowd. And the CIA estimates they only need somewhere between 100 and 200 people per 10,000 or 20,000 in the crowd. Now, cast your mind back about 5 years in January.
I was just going to say it.
Round about the Capitol. How many people were instigators in there? 100 to 200 people? How many thousands of people walked from the ellipse down to the Capitol building to express their displeasure at those Congress critters being idiots and stealing an election? And then there was the several times President Trump documented asking Speaker Pelosi, wouldn't you like me to send in the National Guard? No, 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 she says, I don't need National Guard. Well, Pelosi was the only one who could have accepted that offer because that's her position. And how did those 20,000 pound brass metal doors in the Capitol building that are magnetically locked from the inside, how did those doors open? Did somebody push a tank through them? No, someone flipped a switch from the inside and opened the doors. So you tell me, we've got the same kind of playbook going on in Los Angeles, and now, even better, as you pointed out at the beginning of your show, this is going to go nationwide. We're going to franchise these riots all over the country day after tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. And it's obviously for those people out there who are real, because I know that we're at a point now where unless you know a person personally or if there's some other kind of long history that you have with a person online that you can verify they are who they are, you just don't know who you're probably talking to a non-entity most of the time. But there are plenty of people out there who it is completely lost onto them about what you just said, where I'll see in my For You tab people commenting about, 99% of the people who are out there protesting, for the civil rights of undocumented citizens, or the ridiculous vernacular. So they're out there protesting for civil rights of non-citizens and whatever the hell it is. 99% are largely peaceful, and it's always just they always harp on the 1%. It's like, oh, really? Well, there's nearly 750,000 people to 1 million people in Washington D.C. in January of 2021. Okay, and the couple thousand that showed up, and the 500 or so that took a tour or whatever, it never applies both ways, of course, because these are people who were lying for months about police officers being beaten over the head with fire extinguishers that didn't exist. Right. So it's this is really just about us.
But here's the rub to all of this, and I'm taking some of this from Data Republican's X posting, where she's talking specifically about the anti-ICE riots in Los Angeles. She has she's dug down into who is funding this, because it's funded and coordinated. And one of the NGOs that she pulled from all of her digging was the Coalition for Humane Immigration Rights, or CHIRLA. Now, CHIRLA has an actual EIN number, and they get our tax money. So not only, so imagine this with me. President Trump comes in January. He turns loose the Doge Boys on January 21st. They start ripping through USAID. All of a sudden, all of the funding for USAID is dried up, and then other agencies across the government, their funding dries up. And my God, what are these communist Democrats going to do? How in the hell are they going to take back power and run a decent insurrection against this damn federal government? Oh, look. Well, we'll just make up something that's going on over in Los Angeles. In fact, if we time it right, we can get it so that we have these ICE riots, anti-ICE riots in Los Angeles the week right before we're going to spread it nationwide.
It's a lot. And, yeah, I know. And overseas, I hate to really to bounce off track, but you were saying, the left hand knowing what the right hand is doing, et cetera, et cetera. But building up right now is this whole tension about whether or not there's going to be imminent strikes on Iran over there in the Middle East. And before the Ukraine the fiasco is even wrapped up, here is another here's something else. I mean, I saw this from Zero Head just tweeted this maybe by 4 minutes ago. Successive explosions reported in Tehran. So I don't know what that means. I don't know, how you're going to play the stock market tomorrow, what the oil markets are going to look like. But it's
Do you have a friend on the ground in Tehran to verify that these explosions took place?
no.
Look, the only hold that these communist Democrats and communist rhinos have over the population now that a lot of us are awake and we're kind of sitting back going, hey, wait a minute, I've seen this one before. I've seen this movie a couple of times. The only hold that they have over us now is fear. Ooh. Ooh.
I'm scared. You're scaring me.
I mean, if you do not have somebody that you know and trust, boots on the ground, watching it, how do you know it's really happening? You don't.
Well, this is something that will.
You have to take a lot of what's going on. You have to sit back and instead of reacting, you have to sit back and go, okay, well, what do we know? What is really the truth and what's really going on? And who has what to gain from a conflict between Iran and who's their favorite enemy? Oh, that's right, Israel.
I know that's
Right.
that's why I say.
And weird how the deep state could not get the United States sucked in anymore into Ukraine, so that between Russia and the United States, there's a big conflict. They couldn't make World War III happen there. So where's the next place that they're going to make World War III happen?
I know. That's why I say I don't know anybody in Tehran, but this is, you always wonder when that button's going to get pushed because they've been saber rattling on this front for a while.
It is a last ditch button to push, right?
Yeah.
How many years have we been hearing Iran's going to get a nuclear weapon? Like 40? Does it take you 40 years to figure this shit out? I mean, I thought it was all written down somewhere.
I mean, Pakistan has one.
Right? They can't steal the information from Pakistan. They steal everything from us.
Yeah. So
what I'm saying here is, I think a lot of what we're watching, whether it's anti-ICE riots or it's the big beautiful bill or it's bullshit going on over in Iran or in the Middle East or in Ukraine or in pick a country, it doesn't matter. Next week it could be Taiwan. I think what you're watching is the deep state in its death throes trying to make all of the rest of us, who they used to be able to control quite easily through the news and music and entertainment and social media, they used to be able to control all of us. We're all programmed to react to fear-based triggers. And a lot of us are now going, no, I don't think so. No, you've been lying to me long enough. The lie doesn't work. And I think what we're seeing with all of these antics all over the place is the deep state in its death throes trying to grip on to that control that they think they have over people. And they don't have it anymore. And you notice how calm and cool the National Guard has been and the Marines. And, President Trump keeps pointing at the big, beautiful bill. And I think I just heard that Elon Musk is on his way back. The prodigal son is returning. So much for a spat.
Well, we're going to be able to check in on this. I don't know when the next time is going to be, but I think you should stop by in July or something like that. We just got to check in a little. We had a couple of months. I know you're finishing up with school, but now you're on vacation, right? You don't do summer school, do you?
No, I'm not doing. I'm having too much fun watching all this other shit. Because honestly, I think that what is being thrown and tossed at us day in and day out, the fear mongering is over the top. And again, if you just sit back with, my favorite drink is a margarita, but you sit back with a margarita and you just kind of go, well, what do we really know about this? Is it really true? Are we being told the truth? Or is this just more bullshit? Because if you're coming up with, I don't know anybody on the ground there, I don't know anybody who's involved, and some of this looks pretty hokey, maybe that's what it is. It's just a lot of hokum.
Especially when it comes to domestic happenings. That's where, I mean, there's so much shadow puppetry over here.
Oh my God.
There's a little bit more that we can get to in another time. I have a second half so I can bring some people on for calls. Wait, before you go, Robin, there is one. I have a lot of super chats to get around to, but here is a couple that involve you. Bobby Lambert says Robin's rum ball recipe is now a family favorite.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. Jay Britt says, always love a visit from Dr. Robin McCutcheon with her insightful pearls of wisdom. Great show, Frank. Let's see here. ST says they love you. What else I just want to make sure everything that mentions you is on. I might have missed a few, but I have to read them all on the other side of the break. But Robin, this is
great. Before we go, I have to say I am so proud of you for getting yourself connected with the Badlands Media people. I think they're fabulous. I've been watching the Devolution Power Hour and reading John Harold's all of his chapters to Devolution since like 4 months after he started. And I just want you to know I'm so proud of you for being connected with them. And I think you all have a wonderful future. So congratulations.
It's a blessing knowing you, Robin. And let me tell you, I hope that we keep the date because I've already had one rescheduling with him. But on July 10th, which is a Thursday, I'm pretty sure that John Harold is going to be the guest on the Thursday night show on the 10th of July. So send me a handful of questions that you would love to get, I don't know, any kind of an answer on, even if it's just speculative. Have some fun with it and send me some questions, please.
I will. I'll do that.
Okay.
Thank you so much for the invitation. And hey, thanks so much for having me back on your show. I want to shout out to up in Connecticut. She had a stroke not too long ago, and I want her to know that I've been following her recovery progress and saying prayers for her, and I'm glad she's still with us.
Up in CT?
Yeah.
In the chat room?
Yeah.
I know that name. Well, include me in on that. I did not know that she that was an issue. Wow. Oh, well, I'm happy.
She was a dear heart, and she recommended me to another podcaster who's actually in the Huntington, West Virginia area. And I just wanted to give a shout out. We're still saying prayers for her, and I hope that her recovery continues very, very well.
Add me to that. And thank you again, Robin, for everything tonight. Have a wonderful evening.
Thanks. You too. Bye-bye.
All right. Take care. Yeah. So listen, just because it's breaking now. It started around 8:00 on the dot, but it seems like Israel has struck Iran. That there was an airstrike inside of Iran, and now there's that. Now, from what I'm reading, according to Axios, the United States say that about 11 minutes ago, Alex, ALX, on Twitter, says the U.S. has told Israel it will not participate in an Israeli strike on Iran. And apparently that is exactly what just happened not too long ago. So that's all happening right now. You want to talk at the close of the day, tucking everybody in at 8 p.m. to that shit. You say, well, it's tomorrow over there. Not trying to keep it convenient for people on the East Coast of the United States. But damn, oh damn. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. I'm going to come back. We are going to take a really quick break. I got to take a break, and I want to come back and start taking your calls. For the rest of the night, we'll just take calls, and I will read your super chats, and we'll keep it together like that. Because there's a lot of other things happening right now, obviously, that's being thrown in our faces. Just also remember, ladies and gentlemen, I'm giving away 3 things to you tonight, 3 bundles tonight that me and Lauren put together with our stuff that we bought, and then also some great stuff that just showed up today from friends of ours. Here, the number one, the first thing we're giving away is all this. There's the 2 espresso cups from Maine on the right that I bought for you guys that they weren't claimed. So that's going to go out there with maple candies and maple syrup and pure Maine honey. Then the second place winner is going to get my copy of The Big Fisherman, Lloyd C. Douglas. I'm going to inscribe it. It's already been stamped with the Quite Frankly library stamp, and you get my band's 2017 release. It's going to come with Keto Brainz. Going to throw all that in there. And then the Forever Young package. You get the Yes Cacao Wild Balls and PlayStation Live gift card and a fidget spinner and one of those parachute guys. I have another one. I actually have 2 more. One of them is for Aurora. But this is fun. You go to the top of your porch and you just let the parachute down. And I'm going to be drawing 3 names at the end of the show. So if you send a super chat through quitefranklysuperchat.com or YouTube or Rumble, then your name is going to be in there. I've already added quite a few of you, so that's going to be fun, and we'll do that in just a little bit. All right, that's that. Let's get to the intermission real quick, and we'll be right back. So here is our Badlands sponsor, the second one for tonight. You know who it is. Oh, you know who it is. It's the perfect time to secure your home and your loved ones from thieves, arsonists, Democrats. But I repeat myself, get a free ADT smart home security system valued at $1,200 from ADT authorized provider Safe Streets, plus a Google Nest doorbell camera at no cost and a $200 Visa gift card from Safe Streets, the most trusted name in home security with more than 106,000 4.9 star Trustpilot reviews. Get safestreets.com/badlands, safestreets.com/badlands, or call 925-529-6541. That's 925-529-6541 to speak a representative today. Safe Streets, because the only person who should ever be sniffing your wife's underwear is you. All right, well, I don't know. That's all I have to say on that one. All right. So you want to talk? Let's talk a little bit. I'm going to open up the lines, 914-200-0269, 914-200. Oh, who the hell is that? Oh, I'm sorry. That's our badass tonight. We've got that going on tonight, too. The lines are open, 914-200-0269. Call me. I want to hear from you. There's a lot of you who are watching right now, and now there's a lot of stuff that's happening. So what do you think about Robin? What do you think about the news of the day? What do you think about the news of the last 15 minutes? And that's that. So there you go. Let's go. Call me up. And let's get to your super chats now. Bobby Lambert says Robin's rum ball recipe is a family favorite. You know, I still haven't done it. We've published it the last couple of years. People have said they're really incredible. I haven't done it yet. Lon Demon says, I hate this show. Yes, me too. Michelle Kinnington just said, you had me at wild balls. Good, because they're so good. And I think that they have what kind of a bean in the middle of it? Is it a coffee bean? I forget what Justin put in the middle. They're so good. Let's take a call. 989, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hello.
Hey.
How we doing, Frankie?
I'm all right. Who's this?
This is Raymond from Michigan again.
Oh, it's good to have you on. So what are you seeing? What are you thinking?
Saturday, we got the No Kings coming to Grove Park. It's going to be interesting.
Oh, you're going to, you even have one of yours. Oh, good. You have a No Kings protest as well.
Yeah, so I'm going to be out there streaming. So may I send, I don't know, I'm not big enough to go live on YouTube. I don't have enough, but as far as the, Facebook, I might be able to go and do it on there. I don't know. We'll see. So I just thought I'd shout out there on that, and I want to go in live just to see how crazy these assholes can be.
What is
I'm going to tell them to take that fucking mask off.
What's the city? What's the city again?
Midland, Michigan. I think there's 10 cities. Bay City, Midland, Mount Pleasant, East Tawas, is it Grand Rapids? Bay City, yeah, there's like 10 cities. They're having this shit, so we got to put a stop to that shit. Hopefully it ain't going to go on too long. That's all I got to say, brother. Thank you.
Thank you for the call, and be careful out there. And wherever, you know what, if you do go live somewhere, I know that you said you don't you don't have enough subscribership on YouTube to go live. Well, wherever you settle upon, even if you just take some video, feel free to send it to the show. And maybe on Monday when we're doing a weekend recap, maybe there's a couple of spaces I can put that in and give you a shout out.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. Love you.
All right. Talk soon. Be careful and be well. How many No Kings protests are officially on the books right now? Let's just see what comes up in a search. Over 1,800 No Kings protests are officially scheduled across the United States for June 14. 1,800, according to multiple sources, including hold on, let me say, list the cities known, please. This is AI powered, so Frank, stop. Here we go. Oh, this is going to go on forever. Forever. Alameda, Annapolis, Antelope Valley, California, Atlanta, Georgia, Austin, Texas. We got Missouri, Charlottesville, Virginia. Watch out. Charlotte, North Carolina. A little bit in Wyoming, huh? Liz Cheney will be at the tip of that spear right there. No doubt. If Liz Cheney is not speaking somewhere, Chicago, Clinton in Columbia, Missouri. There's 3 events in Columbia, Missouri. Dallas, El Paso, Fort Worth, Houston, Huntington, Jefferson. Let me see. I don't know. You know, always remember something. The reason why they were able to say statistically that so much of the Black Lives Matter protests, especially in 2020, were so peaceful is because what constituted a demonstration was, like, for example, on Greenwich Avenue in Greenwich, Connecticut, if five freshman white chicks with their Cape Cod shirts stood outside of the Apple store and held placards, that was considered a demonstration. So when you can take thousands of those little instances of people huddling together and just, kind of like meekly chanting to themselves because they're also kind of embarrassed, but they want to do something. They think it makes a difference and whatever. They're caught up in the whole fucking thing. That's how they get the peaceful number up so much, because the 20,000 person riot in like the middle of Manhattan or something else where police are getting the shit beat out of them or whatever, that's considered one demonstration. And so is the 4 white chicks hanging out in front of the Apple store on Greenwich Avenue in Greenwich, Connecticut. They're equal. So that's how they do that. Anyway, I don't know. 914-200-0269. All right, let's get back to our super chats before I lose track of them all. Witchy Poo, Bullish Brown says, Big Beautiful Bill, triple BS. Some girl on YouTube says, toss me in too. I love you, Frank. Well, thank you, some girl. Bobby Lambert, running on empty. Thank you. Jay Britt says, always enjoy visit from Robin McCutcheon. ST says, I'm addicted to the Merlin app. I love Robin, Frank, and all the Franklies. I love the Merlin app too. The only thing is I'm going to have to start traveling now because I know all the birds around me. There's a couple of things. I saw a house finch. Almost looked like a female cardinal. You know how the female cardinal's red is just a little bit less brilliant? They almost look brown and they don't have that crown on their head. I don't know. But I mainly know everything now in my neighborhood. I can speak fluent American robin. I can speak fluent chickadee, even though the chickadee's gone. I can speak American robin before I could speak Italian. Jeez, what's happened to me? What's happened to me? All right, Moon Bunny says, love you, Frank, in chat. Thank you. Love you, too. Cajun Lady says, hey, Frank, hey, chat. Quite frankly, rules. O'Doyle rules. Thank you, Cajun Lady. Shotzi, have a fun summer Friday. Enjoy. Frank, sorry I drank and spent time in the pool today as wait, this is last night. I spent time in the pool today as Brandon was total mind F. I might have to rewatch the episode. Love you, Frank. Love you too. I hope you'll watch it. Last night. You guys can make sense of it. There's still a lot I don't understand, but I did a trilogy and that's what I wanted to do. But those last 25 minutes with Brandon were really great, and I'd love to have him back just to talk about the world. I mean, he's obviously very perceptive, and I really, we had a good flow at the end there when we weren't, neck deep in legal definitions, but that's just the nature of his work. So there's that. Linda Love says, "Pick me, Lord Francis. I want the cups." Imagine Linda wins. Okay, let's take a call. Hey, what's going on, Santino? How you doing?
Hey, I gotta say, right, I kind of agree with them people a little bit with the no kings thing, right?
Yes.
So from now on, when you take a call from me, let's take a call from King 40. No more of that. From now on, it's let's take a call from Leonardo's racist grandpa.
Okay, so everybody, before the show, Santino sent me a picture. I'm going to put it up on the screen. Let me see here. I can just get it from my phone. He's got this big satisfied look on his face. He's wearing a brand new T-shirt. It says Leonardo's racist grandpa. And he's got this, look at how smile. It looks like he just won the lottery over there. And he's got this shirt on. And I sent it to her. I actually sent it to Leonardo, and what she was out of her mind. She said, "That is amazing." And I said, "Well, just in case you need some merchandise ideas." And she says, "You know what? That's actually a great idea." Santino, if she starts a merchandise line that's just like the racist family member tree, like the racist family tree shirts, that you were the one that started it.
I'm all in, Leonardo. I got your back, baby. I love you to death.
All right. You enjoying yourself tonight?
Absolutely. And I'm enjoying the show, and Robin's a great broad. And when I say broad, people take that as like disrespectful, but back where I'm from and in my day, that was just a common thing. It wasn't meant as a disrespectful term. So she's a great lady. She's a great woman. She's very smart, and good for her, and I'm glad you're like friends with a good woman like that.
Well, are you going to be engaging in any protest over the weekend?
No, I got work. I got a job. These people, they protest, they got jobs. Be productive members of society, you jerks.
Well, we'll see what happens on the other side of the weekend. I have to imagine that not much is going to change, at least over here on our side of the pond. But now it looks like there might be another war breaking out. So we'll see where that goes, right?
Yeah, I saw that. Oh my God.
Whatever.
These fucking chosens.
Whatever.
Whatever. Yeah.
I don't want to even chuckle about it because it could mean some, manufactured Armageddon moments, and that's what I feel like they all want to do.
You know what? You say you don't want to chuckle about it, but sometimes you gotta kind of have to. But just because you chuckle about it, Frankie, don't mean you ain't taking it seriously. I get it. I get it. Yeah. Believe me.
Well, thanks again, man. I'll talk to you in a little bit.
Yes, sir.
All right. There you go. There goes Santino. That is Leonardo Joni's racist grandpa. Okay? So, 914-200-0269. I want to hear from more of you. More of you. Even more. There's too many of you watching to not have you call in. So, let's do it. Tell me something else that I might have missed today. And in a little bit, we're going to get in our... our badass of the day, Father's Day weekend, on the books. All right, over on Rumble, let's see here. Kiss Chaos says, "Hi, Frank and all the Franklies." White Shitty Kitty says, "I'm in." A. Joneson says, hi, Frank. Thanks again for Keto Brain samples. One scoop and was amazed at its wonderfulness. I'm now on a Keto Brain subscription, and my sister became a Keto Brains affiliate. I love this show, and I need those cups. I hope I hope everybody gets them. Hope everybody gets the cups. My buddy Koss, you guys remember Koss? King is an incredibly huge fan of Koss. Every couple of months, I'll get a check-in text message or something from King going, "Hey, how's Koss been?" He's doing all right because I love that kid. Anyway, I sent Koss some Keto Brains, and he wrote back. So he said, "What the hell did he say? What did he tell me?" Yesterday he went nuts for it. He says, "Oh, yo, dude, this nootropic creamer feels like fucking Adderall. This is dope." I said, "Thanks for sharing this with me, man. Thank you so much, dude." I said, Good. I showed that to Molly. And then this morning he says, "Okay, I'm not putting anything in my coffee. And instead substituting this shit. It's the greatest thing since the fucking wheel." Well, that's nice. Hey, that's why I've been so confidently sharing it with everybody. It's not bullshit. And I love it. When I love something, I tell you about it. Like the Merlin app. I don't get a free toaster if you guys go fool around with the Merlin app listening to all the African blue tits in your backyard. I'll only be so lucky. It's blue tits all over my backyard. Jay Semo says, cheers. This is on Rumble as well. Thank you, Jay. It's good to have you out there. Tommy Jekyll says, if the Senate pencils in changes to the big, beautiful bill, methinks it'll have to go back to the House, where votes are iffy at best. May get a worse bill. Oh, man. Hey, would you blow me too? Says, if we don't end the Fed and go back to a gold and silver standard, the corruption will never end. We have no obligation to pay a fraudulent national debt created out of thin air. Oh, I know. No obligation. But again, like I said, I'm not going to be the only one to not show up to the SAT. I want to control the minds of the 100, what did Robin say? 160 million people who are working? I want to control the minds of 160 million people who are working and just refuse. And then we'll all be fine. If we all did it together, we'd be fine. But I can't trust you. And you can't trust me. Because what are we going to do? We're all individual. We're not linked. We can't do it. Unless we all get together and we can take account of each other physically. There can be no shadow of doubt. Jay Semo says, Robin is spot on. And unfortunately, I'm thinking that the light at the end of the tunnel is a train. Very depressing, but great show. Thank you. Well, you see, this is why I love Robin. Robin, like others, like Rich, will come on and say the good, the bad, the ugly. And still, she's a staunch supporter of Donald Trump. She wants him to do great. But some things you can't spin. And like with the job numbers, watch the people who are like, there you go. Job numbers looking good. It's like unemployment still kind of unchanged, 4.2%, but we'll get there. You think it's 4.2%? Like that stuff doesn't move the needle for me. It shouldn't move the needle for you too. If only 4% of the country were unemployed, think about, first of all, nobody would be protesting. There'd be no time to protest because they'd be working. Number one. Let's see here. Hey, would you blow me too? Says, hey, I always go to political rallies with my fire extinguisher just in case. Well, you need to these days. I believe nothing what you hear and half of what you see. Let's get drunk and talk money and politics, Robin. And then Pablo Wenscabar says, fantastic show tonight, Frank and Robin. Okay, well, wait, that's where I leave off. I have to get a couple more things in. So the numbers are on. I got to get a couple of calls from you guys. You know why? Because I have to. Actually, no. You can call in, but I had this other thing I wanted to throw out to you. You remember last night when Brandon, at the end, he brought up the protocols of the learned elders of Zion, and he paid some mention. He said that there was some kind of a there was something in the protocols about tunnels and explosives. I said, that didn't sound right. I went and I read through the protocols as they're published in Bill Cooper's book. I didn't find anything. And I double checked with some other people who might know. I didn't find anything. I did some searches on the internet too. All I did find on protocol number 3 in the 91 edition of Behold a Pale Horse, it talks about creating chaos and weakening governments, but it doesn't mention physical sabotage like explosives or tunnels. And then the protocol number 9, it discusses controlling public opinion and destabilizing societies again, but no references to tunnels or explosives. So I don't know what that is. Doesn't matter. It's not like there aren't tunnels or explosives. It's not like that's not real. Pablo, thank you, Pablo says, fantastic show tonight, Frank and Robin. Let's see here. Pablo Wenskabar. Miss Maniac says, love, hugs, and persevere, y'all. So let me put Pablo Wenskabar, Miss Maniac, and Grandma Grateful. I love when Robin comes to visit. And Rubino 82, great show tonight. Well, it's great to have you guys there. It really is. It would be great to have a couple of your calls because, I can always go to our last segment of the night, but if we don't have to end early, then I wouldn't like to, especially since there's so many of you out there. So let's get into our giveaway then. That's what I want to do, but there's so many of you I have to add now. They're coming in. Rubino, Grandma Grateful. Is there one more over here? Good. Mace Maniac. Okay, I got that. That's all the Rumble. And I think we're good. Oh, Becca 20. Becca over on the Badlands Rumble says, thanks for all that you do, all the enlightenment. Well, thank you, Becca. It's great to have you out. Okay, so we get Becca in there as well, and then we're almost ready to go. I'm going to cut most of this off. Becca 20. Good. Our Amethyst Cat says, happy Father's Day, Frank. Well, thank you. And happy Father's Day to everybody else out there, too. I think this next story is going to be a really good one. And let's get around to giving away these gifts, shall we? That's it. Nobody touch anything. Brewbark says 98% of statistics are all made up. They could. Hold on, I didn't put Brewbark in there, and Stephen and Lori, and then we are good. Brewbark, Stephen and Lori. Everybody else I've been adding as as people have been calling and Robin was talking. So here we have it. A big list of names. Moon Buddy, Cajun Lady, Cyber Sicilian, Kobe Shumway, Bullish Brown, Road Trip, Martinez. Oh, there's a lot here. So how about we do this? The first one up, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be the main giveaway. I can't wait to do this for you all. First one, our name is Esther G. Esther G won that. Okay, who is going to win the Big Fisherman? The Big Fisherman, set the charge, and everybody's getting keto brains. The Big Fisherman, who is it going to be? Moon Bunny. Moon Bunny has just won that one. And then the last one, my friends, let's see here. Hold on. Let's see. Where's the picture? Here it is. This is the Forever Young package. The kiddies are going to love this one. Anybody in your life, you'll like the Yes Cacao, but there's you might like the fidget spinner too. But the PlayStation card, I've just set you up with somebody's birthday present there. That's nice for you. All right, here we go. The last one I've got is Silly Boar. Silly Boar gets that. Now listen, you guys have got to get in touch with me. Esther G, Moon Bunny, and Silly Boar. You have to get in touch with me. And immediately. So that I want to send this out tomorrow. Thank you all so much. And I'm just going to continue to bring more fun stuff to next week. I'll have more silver to give away. more keto brains, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And I have a lot of fun with you with this. I really appreciate it. And little goes a long way. It all helps the show and the future here. So it's a lot of fun. Are you ready for tonight's badass as we go into Father's Day weekend? Father's Day weekend, we need a little bit of a chilling out, a little bit of inspiration, because God knows where it all heads. First thing for inspiration is, did you hear that Mel Brooks is going to be releasing Spaceballs 2? Everybody got a teaser for Spaceballs 2 today, which is going to be interesting. I wonder how, who like the son of Barf is going to be, because John Candy's not around. And I wonder if they're going to use AI to clone Joan Rivers' voice as Dot. King Roland, I think, is dead. I forgot his name, but he died. He died like 10 years ago or something like that. But Dom DeLuise, there's going to have to be somebody's got to be Pizza the Hut. Pizza and Vinny. Well, I know who you can be for Vinny. Can be Chuck Schumer. They bring Vinny back. Then it can be Chuck Schumer with all of his mortician's paint that they put on his face. That would be nice. But everybody else is still alive, I think. Bill Pullman. Oh, Rick Moranis. I hope that Rick Moranis is back. I haven't seen that guy in so long. I think he quit. I think something happened. I think his wife died or something. Something caused him to like really just back away from acting. I always liked Rick Moranis. I hope he's back. I really do. So Spaceballs 2, I don't know anything about it, but I just saw some teasing around today, and I started thinking about that. But as far as tonight goes, let's get into our badass of the evening. Who is it?
That's some badass shit. It's pretty badass.
You know who it is. It's Daniel Boone. Daniel Boone, my friends. And so I'm going to read to you a wonderful story. A wonderful story that was written by a Frankly. And I'm telling you, over Father's Day weekend, please read this fantastic June newsletter. And also submit stuff to the newsletter by going to the forum on quitefrankly.tv and sending in pictures with captions, family vacations, achievements, pet projects that you're doing, whatever the hell it is. Let everybody know what's going on out there. These bulletins are really about putting spotlight on you guys and also just recapping what's happened with the show and looking forward and all that stuff. But Amber Ping is a writer from southeastern Kentucky and a longtime listener of Quite Frankly. And what a wonderful piece she wrote for Father's Day. A father's fight to save his daughter. The rescue that inspired The Last of the Mohicans by Amber Ping. And that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to talk about this. Let's do it. Okay, here's what she says. When Jemima Boone's piercing screams from the Kentucky riverbanks alerted Daniel Boone that Hanging Maw's Cherokee and Shawnee warriors had kidnapped his daughter in 1776, a father's relentless courage sparked a rescue that inspired The Last of the Mohicans and echoed through centuries. It was a sweltering Sunday afternoon in Boonesboro, Kentucky, with humidity clinging to the air like syrup in a mason jar, when 13-year-old Jemima Boone and her friends Betsy and Fanny Calloway ventured out of the fort to the nearby Kentucky River, a place Daniel Boone called a second paradise. Escaping teenage boredom, the girls grabbed a canoe and paddled downstream, unaware that danger lurked across the water. Cherokee Chief Hanging Maw and his mixed band of Cherokee and Shawnee warriors had been scouting Boonesboro for a potential attack when they spotted the girls from the woods, and their eyes locked on the vulnerable trio. Half a mile from the fort, while Jemima soaked her sore foot, the current pulled their canoe toward the forbidden opposite bank, a place Jemima's father had warned her to avoid. The warriors crept through the thickets, closing in. Suddenly, a cane snapped, the water rippled, and the girls panicked, clutching their paddles. One warrior rushed into the river, seizing the canoe's rope. As John Bakeless notes, little Fanny Calloway, the smallest of the three, whacked him over the head with the paddle until it broke. Betsy, too, struck out with her paddle as hard as she could. Gut-wrenching, blood-curdling screams echoed off the limestone cliffs, Jemima crying, "Daddy, help!" A desperate plea only a father could know meant mortal peril. Her cries skipped across the river, landing like a stone in Boonesboro, where the news swept like a shockwave among the settlers. Boone, still barefoot from napping, grabbed his rifle and raced to the riverbank, where the enemy canoe confirmed his worst fears. His daughter was taken. 3 years earlier, Shawnee Raiders had killed his son James in a brutal ambush, shattering his family. He'd be damned if they took another child. Boone rallied 8 strong frontiersmen, including Colonel Richard Calloway, the Calloway girl's father, and Samuel Henderson, Betsy's fiancé. The warriors marched the girls north, and the hourglass tipped, each grain signaling another desperate hour, tomahawks gleaming at their belts. Using survival skills taught by their fathers, the girls marked their trail with snapped twigs, torn dress fabric, and dragged heeled prints. Describing the kidnapping, Bakeless writes, quote, "When the Indians reached the hilltop, Jemima Boone, who was not Daniel Boone's daughter for nothing, announced that she would not go another step. They could kill her if they wanted to, but her bare and wounded foot was a good deal worse than death." End quote. And when warriors forced Jemima onto a stolen horse to speed things up, she pinched and kicked it, throwing herself off to delay their march. Good girl. Boone, Calloway, and their men crossed the river in tireless pursuit, reading the girl's signs like an old treasure map. Quote, "Nothing escaped the ever-watchful eyes of Daniel Boone. To him, a twig, a leaf, a stone, a bark of the tree, or the lightest impression on the earth told a story that none but a master of woodcraft might read." End quote. Before dusk, Boone split the party, sending Calloway and some men on horseback to cut off the warriors while he tracked on foot. As darkness fell, the trail faded, and Boone's men camped, his heart heavy with fear that Jemima's screams might be the last time he ever heard his daughter's voice. By day 2, Boone grew concerned that his daughter's captors were moving faster than them. The warriors, sensing that they were being followed, created false trails to throw the men off, but Boone's intuition guided him like a compass needle. Rather than follow the captors' tracks, he made the decision to head to the spot he thought they'd cross. Nathan Reed, one of the young men from the fort recalling his way, said, quote, "Paying no further attention to the trail, Boone now took a straight course through the woods with increased speed, followed by the men in perfect silence. Soon a fresh buffalo carcass signaled that they were close. At a stream near the Licking River, Boone divided his men again, fearing that if they all went at once, the captors might murder the girls. Waiting for Boone's signal to fire, they moved into their positions, some taking a ridge while others scouting below. Campfire smoke rose from the glen where warriors, unbothered, gathered supplies and cooked. A grave miscalculation, underestimating a father's resolve. While one of the captors stoked the fire, a sound in the bush drew his attention, but not enough to keep it, and he returned to his task. Jemima, while scanning the ridge, spotted her father, creeping up, his breast like a snake. That's a quote. Then about 100 yards away, their eyes met, and with the implicit language of father and daughter, he signed her to keep still. In the excitement, a frontiersman's shot rang out, and Jemima cried, "That's Daddy." Boone and his men stormed the camp, the warriors scattering like hot grease on a pan. Fanny and Jemima dropped to the dirt while Betsy jumped up, a warrior swinging his club at her head. She later said it felt the touch of that club as it passed her head. She later said that she felt the touch of the club as it passed her head. Boone and another man fired at the same time, hitting the warrior, who stumbled into the fire but quickly recovered and ran into the woods. The girls were finally free. As Drury and Clavin recount, quote, "Years later, Jemima Boone told her granddaughter that when the finality of their rescue set in, all 3 girls collapsed in a weeping cluster. They were joined by Betsy's fiancé, Samuel Henderson, and Boone himself, who sank to his knees and bawled like an infant. Jemima had never seen her father cry." End quote. The reunion inspired James Fenimore Cooper's 1826 novel, The Last of the Mohicans, a tale brought to life in the 1992 film starring Daniel Day-Lewis, which grossed over $143 million worldwide. The girls' real-life resourcefulness was mirrored in one scene where Cora snaps a branch for Hawkeye to find, a character often linked to Boone. Growing up, my father's tales of Daniel Boone filled our Kentucky back road drives, weaving history into every curve. One unforgettable trip, we drove to the top of Chimney Rock, where he blasted the Last of the Mohicans, Promontory. That's the main theme from Last of the Mohicans, from our SUV. Windows up, my brothers, cousins, and I sat in the tailgate, lost in my dad and uncle's stories of Boone's wild Kentucky. This Father's Day, his passion for those legends lives in me, and Boone's daring rescue reminds us of every father's unspoken vow to protect their own. Now, this is so well done. I'm so proud of. I'm always just so proud of what's published in the newsletter every month. Just so wonderfully done by Krista and Lauren, and of course all the submissions. And Amber she just knocked it out of the park. I think it's a wonderful Father's Day read. Pass it along to people. You can take the. I'll just start tweeting out the links all throughout the weekend. But everything here is sourced. All that story. I mean, obviously there is the story of Amber's family and her interactions with her father out there in Kentucky, but all of it is sourced. It's a wonderfully told story, and happy Father's Day to you all. To you fathers, you mentors, you big brothers, uncles, anybody who has stepped in to be that father figure that young boys and girls need so desperately. Happy Father's Day to you all. And yeah. That's it for tonight. I really appreciate you guys, and I will see you all on Monday. But don't worry. Don't fret, because tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, come right here on the Quite Frankly YouTube, and we are going to be premiering that wonderful interview that Anthony and I did with R.J. Williams. We finally got 13 years worth of questions answered about his magic and also his bank robberies. Wonderful. So that will be there for you at 7 o'clock tomorrow. We also have all types of videos that are slotted to be premiering throughout the weekend. And thank you guys. Share, become a sponsor, and yeah, get behind this show so we can continue doing it and we continue competing and cutting through the white noise, because there's plenty of it. Stay close to the ones you love. Stay out of trouble this weekend. And I'm sure we will see each other, even if it's just a random cigar stream. That could happen as well. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Thanks again to Badlands. Oh, a couple of things here over on quitefrankly.tv. Vesper, always enjoy when Robin's on. Thank you. Amethyst Cat, Sharon, Smoke Sesh says, hell yeah, Frankie, let's go. It's 420 somewhere. Safety Net 820. Thank you. Boys Blanc, Vesper again. I'd love to send a bill to the feds for all the taxes that have been scammed over the years. Yeah, I just want my money back. I don't want anything else. I don't need a free car. I don't need anything. I just want my money, and I'll budget for a car if I need one. Crockett, your show always rocks. The greatest guest in the content, Frank. Thank you for the fantastic intro or info, Dr. Robin. Tomcat, Frank, thank you so much for all your shows. Peace and love. Safety Net, thank you, Frank. Stephen and Lori, Brew Bark, 98% of statistics made up. NX17, prayers up for our friend Oso dude. I think he had shoulder surgery yesterday. Is that so? I will text him. Delona says, love me some maple. Well, I'm sorry I couldn't get maple to everybody, but let's hope people don't, I'll give it away again. Those cups, the second time I had to give it away because I couldn't get somebody to give me their address the first time. That's it for this week. And I'll see you on Monday. Got great stuff great guests that I'm booking. More of that is coming your way, and I'll see you soon. Happy Father's Day. Good night.
I'll catch you on the flip side.
Starring Stove Evening Frank and Franklies. Oh, it's good to have you here, Stove Amethyst Cat, Linda Love, Witchy Poo, Bullish Brown, Some Girl on YouTube, Michelle Kennington, Lon Demon, Bobby Lambert, Running on Empty, Jay Britz, ST, Moon Bunny, Shotzi, Running on Empty again, and then, that was last night. Again, extra thank yous to you all. I love you guys. Thank you to our Rumble ranters on the Quite Frankly Rumble and, of course, on Badlands. It's great to have the added audience every Thursday night. Really appreciate you guys. That's Big Chief Patriot, Silly Boar, who actually won at the end there, Esther G.,